Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Cougars show. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kieran.
And today we're going to be frisking the game week 1 to 4 fixtures. Why are we doing this, I hear you ask? Well, in the past, the 2-week international break between game weeks 4 and 5 has been a prime time to play that first wildcard. And by that time we should have enough information to make better decisions on form players. So, in this episode, Kieran and I are going to go team by team discussing the best attacking and defensive options for game weeks 1 to 4. And at the end of the show, we're going to preview our latest squads. But before we get into the show tonight, we just want to take a moment to say if you haven't subscribed to the platform you're currently watching or listening to us on now, then you should do it. Big green, big yellow, big red button. They're all down there. Just press that once. I should also say that Kieran and I are very active on Twitter. You can find us at FPL Cougars. And we're just getting excited about the new season, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait. It's over
about a month away now, right?
Month away, exactly. Yeah. Right, should we start at the very tip of the top? We've got Arsenal, who got some challenging-ish fixtures, game weeks 1 to 4. What are your plans for them?
Well, yeah, the first two games look pretty tasty, don't they? Newcastle away, I mean, might be difficult because their away form last season was atrocious, wasn't it, for Arsenal? But Burnley at home, they're pretty formidable at the Emirates. Their away form and home form is like night and day, wasn't it, last year? So, I'd expect them to win that Burnley game quite nicely, to be honest. But yeah, I'm not sure about owning any of them at the moment. The Koscielny not going on pre-season tour, I think it was, or they're coming out and saying he wants to leave or wants to be released from his contract or something, which is really bizarre. So that they look like they're in a club in crisis as well. That they're struggling to sign. They only had reportedly about 30 million to spend in the transfer window, and they've not managed to get anyone so far. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Arsenal, and I'll probably be avoiding. I know you put out a tweet about Aubameyang the other day of being 16.5% owned, and obviously those first two fixtures look really good on paper. And he was joint top scorer last season. So yeah, he could hit the ground running, couldn't he? But at this point, I guess just watch preseason, see if he does well. If he's banging in goals, then it might change my mind if I want to include him. But at this moment, there's no one from Arsenal in my team.
He had a bit of a stinker in that away game against Liverpool, but last season in these respective fixtures, he scored 5 goals, got 1 assist, and racked up 8 bonus points, which was 39 points, just under 8-point average per game. And like you say, I put out that tweet just because I was surprised he seemed, fairly low ownership for a player that had just done so well last season. But I think with all what's going around with Arsenal at the moment, especially the Koscielny news, everything seems a little bit uncertain of their players, and they want to bring in Zaha, and are they going to do that by selling other players to make room for him, and is Aubameyang one of them? So there's a bit up in the air. I do really like Aubameyang at that price point. If you compare him to Kane, who came in at the same, he was comfortably outscoring him in terms of points per minute last season, so he seems a good option, but at the moment he's probably not going to be in my squad.
Yeah, and I looked at the stats between Aubameyang and Lacazette, and Aubameyang comes like way out on top on all of them pretty much. So yeah, there's no, I guess you could save money with Lacazette, but his stats were way down compared to Aubameyang. So if you were going to go for one of those strikers, then Aubameyang's the way to go. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm avoiding. I think you're probably avoiding. And yeah, I think most people will, to be honest. But he may sneak under the radar. If you pick him and he does well, then you'll probably be good on the ranks in the first few weeks.
I think it's just the reason why I was a little bit drawn to him as well, because the first 2 games are potentially captainable games for him. That Newcastle away, they could be in turmoil after all what's going on this summer. If Steve Bruce is in charge, they still haven't got a manager, and they're 4 weeks out from the start of the season. And Burnley, I think they beat them 3-1 at home last season. So who could be a big score for Aubameyang in those first 2 game weeks.
Yeah, he could. Like I said, pre-season, if he's getting a hat-trick in the last few games or something like that, then I might reconsider.
All right, Villa, they've got a tricky start away at Wembley. Not at Wembley, gosh, no, at Tottenham's new stadium, God. Yeah. After that, though, does it look a bit tastier?
It does. 3 greens on the official FDR rating for Premier League. Bournemouth home, Everton home, and then Crystal Palace away. Like 2 home games in a row after Tottenham is pretty nice. Yeah, the Bournemouth game you'd fancy them to do all right. But Everton at home, that's definitely not a green. It shouldn't be, in my opinion. But yeah, I can't really see them doing too much, to be honest. I don't think any of their attackers are really worth looking at. Their defenders, they probably won't keep clean sheets here. Maybe one against Bournemouth, but that's unlikely, personally. So yeah, I'm probably going to completely avoid. There's Wesley, who's just been signed from Club Bruges at 6 million. If he could be this year's Jimenez, possibly.
Yeah.
He's 1.2% owned at the moment, so he's barely been looked at. So if he hits the ground running, if he does anything or looks decent against Tottenham, then bringing him in against Bournemouth might be tasty.
Yeah, they were
for 3
awful.
in a row.
Yeah, they were awful on the road, weren't they, last season, Bournemouth?
Yeah.
I think it was only Fulham that conceded more, and towards the end of the season, they would just conceded bucket loads on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 10 in their last 4 away games, so they're going to be looking to start the season a little bit better. But like you say, I think the fixture difficulty ratings system here is way off for Villa. I think, like you, I think that Everton game at home is really difficult, and Crystal Palace away is never an easy place to go.
No, they got that as a green. That's no way.
That's mad.
Yeah.
I also don't you think it's probably a bit like Fulham as well last year in the fact they've signed a ton of players and how easily they're all going to bed together sort of month before the season. I think they're the highest spenders already this summer, and that didn't go particularly well when Fulham adopted that approach last summer. So I'm a bit reluctant to invest in any of their players. The only one who could potentially interest me is Tom Heaton. Although he's at Burnley at the moment, there's been talk that he might end up at Villa. And I think if he moves to Villa, that obviously frees up 2 4.5 goalkeepers, of which there are hardly any, because it would mean Pope probably gets in at Burnley and Heaton gets in at Villa. And I think that could be, if Heaton ends up moving there, I would be really interested, because I think that Bournemouth, Everton games especially, save points in those, especially save points in that Tottenham away game.
Yep.
I do like a 4.5 goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree. And most of their players have got decent sort of pricing to them. So yeah, if any of them do start to look good, like especially Matt Targett, if he's a starter from Southampton at 4.5, yeah, he's been pretty attacking in the past. So if he starts well, he could be one to look at. Even Mings, he was really good for them last year in the Championship. So if he at 4.5 turns it on and helps them out, then they could be a decent bandwagon.
He's a dangerous player though, isn't he, Mingsy? Like I've seen some crazy,
he is.
Some crazy tackles. I don't like him very much personally.
Agree.
So I couldn't have him in my team. Anyway, so should we move on to Bournemouth, who are a lot more lovely, down on the south coast there. They got 2 back-to-back games at the start of the season against promoted sides. I'm keen to invest, Kieran. Where should I do it?
I think you'd probably avoid the defence, but maybe not. I mean, Adam Smith looks like he could be good. That new guy called Stacey or something like that. He looks like he might get in somewhere. And he's apparently very attacking as well. So, and even Ake at 5.0, probably too much. But yeah, the defence looks quite good for those 2 games, but hard to trust them. And yeah, I think you're going to be looking towards the Wilson and Fraser, the age-old duo, and then King, obviously, who's probably on penalties, everyone thinks, and he's obviously 1.5 million cheaper than Wilson up front. But yeah, I think they all seem like quite good value, to be honest. 8 million for Wilson, who does in the stats, like he does outscore, well, like the stats are favourable to Wilson in pretty much all the areas. But 8 million on a Bournemouth player, is that too much? It doesn't feel good, but Wilson was really good. If he played all the minutes last year, he would have got like close to 200 points, I think. So yeah, 8 million for around 200 points, you'd guess. Then that's pretty good, to be honest.
The reason I think I'm still a little bit sceptical on Fraser and Wilson is, well, one, I think because of their hiked prices. Last year it wasn't like a big investment into their players, and two, because last season was the first season that both of those players had produced big scores. If they'd been sort of like historically good FPL assets and been able to return that season on season, then I'd be more willing to part with the money for them. But because it's just one season, I need like more convincing that it's going to be a regular occurrence. I think it's interesting what you said about Wilson and King. So that's been a big dilemma for me. So like you, I was having a look at their points per 90 minutes last season and just comparing when they were, how they did it fair appearance-wise. So Wilson averaged nearly 6 points per 90 minutes, and King quite a lot less, 4.2. So that's nearly a 2-point gap. Despite their XG for the whole season was actually quite similar. So Wilson's was 15 expected goals and King's 13. So in terms of goals scored, they're fairly similar. But it's the assists really which lets King down. I don't know if you've seen the huge disparity there. Wilson's assist rate is 4 times higher than King's. So really you're relying on him or King to score the goals and more of them than Wilson, which he just wasn't doing last season. So there is a reason why he's 1.5 million more expensive.
But does that justify picking him instead of Wilson though? I'm not really sure that those assists, Wilson got 14 goals, 12 assists, and King got 12 goals, 3 assists. So that's huge amount of points that he's not getting there. Yeah. And Wilson's obviously getting bonus on top of that for getting these assists in games where he's not scoring.
Yep.
So that 1.5, is smartly priced by FPL.
It is, yeah.
And I think it probably is worth it. I've got Wilson in my squad at the moment, so it depends if he I think. I was going to talk about penalties, obviously, because of VAR. King took 6 last year, and Wilson took 2. So King's not 100% nailed on penalties you think he probably is, but Wilson did take some, and maybe Wilson manages to take it off him completely this year. Who knows? But I don't know if those penalties swing it in King's favour that much. Fraser and Wilson have always said they look for each other.
Yeah.
Rather than King. I've looked at Fraser and King. As a instead of Wilson, but I don't know. I've got. I don't know. It's hard to pick them at the moment, but you definitely have to have one at least.
I've been trying not to compare sort of midfielder to striker because I also think Brooks is a bit of an option. There's a million price difference. I wish that was a 1.5 million, the difference between King and Wilson, because I think that would make it more interesting.
Yeah.
So Fraser and Brooks is actually points per 90 minutes last season was incredibly similar. So Fraser 5.1 and Brooks down at 4.8. So it's just Brooks' sort of reduced minutes over the course of the season. Either he was rotated in and out of the squad, he was rested and whatnot. He actually would have finished very closely to Fraser. Brooks had a higher goal involvement and goal rate than Fraser per 90 minutes last season, but his assist rate, like we were saying with Wilson to King, it was way lower. It was less than half as good. So there is quite a big gap, but especially in the assist area between the two sort of midfielders and 2 strikers there. And I think nailing down at least 1 or maybe even 2 of the Bournemouth players for these sort of opening maybe 3 of these 4 fixtures is a good way to go.
If he was 6-0 Brooks, I think everyone would be on him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just picking which ones. It's going to be super hard because I think any of them could return in any sense. Yeah. So, you're going to be either lucky or super unlucky, I think.
Yeah. I should also say before we move on, Sheffield United's defensive record was nothing to be sniffed at last season. I know they've got them at home, and last season it was Cardiff, another promoted side, that rocked up at the Vitality on the opening day, and Bournemouth dispatched them 2-0. It was Fraser and Wilson on that day. But Sheffield United only conceded 41 goals in the league last season, so they were incredibly resolute. So if they can transfer their sort of strong defensive-minded approach to the Premier League in games against teams sort of as
Premier League's a
bottom
different
half
beast,
table.
though.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
And as we've seen that, with promoted sides that don't spend any money, like Cardiff, they're pretty much whipping boys. So I imagine that'll be Sheffield United, unfortunately.
Okay, remains to be seen. I've got a little bit of faith in them. Anyway, so let's move on. Do we talk about Brighton?
Yep.
Because they're next. Do you want to talk about if you've got anyone or your eye on anyone on these fixtures? They look good, but where are the assets?
Yeah, we mentioned in the first video we did, obviously Button and Ryan look like good options. Yep. You talked about Button possibly being mass owned and being sold, losing value, but so I've strayed away from that. But yeah, Ryan looks like he could be good for these first 3. I think Watford away is definitely tough. West Ham at home is tough too. But they got greens on the fixture difficulty rating, and Southampton at home is obviously good as well. So yeah, there's probably 1, maybe 2 clean sheets there, maybe.
I look back last season to see how they got on, because I always associate Brighton last season with being fairly resolute under Houghton, but really they weren't.
I think it was the season before they were much better.
Yeah. So across these 4 fixtures last season, they conceded 6 and only scored 2, and 2 of them were against City. So it didn't keep a clean sheet. Potter's obviously come in. He's going to be more of focused on more of an attacking style of play from what we've heard. So I wonder if it's whether their forward line and maybe the season before last sort of wonder Pascal Gross that might come to the fore in this one.
Yep, I agree. I did a little comparison of Gross versus Perez because he's around the same price from like game week 33 to 38 when they were both fit and playing, and Perez is way on top in like I guess the same sort of attacking kind of team of Newcastle and Brighton.
Yeah.
But we know that Gross was really good the year before that when he wasn't injured. Gross had just come back from injury again. And his stats weren't too bad. He had like 3 goals and 1 assist in his last 4 or 5 fixtures. So that's pretty good for Gross. And at 6.5, and he's really low owned at the moment. So those first 3, he could definitely get a goal, assist, probably maybe 2 goals, 1 assist over those 3 games. That sounds all right, to be honest.
I think he's owned by less than 1% of the game. I think he's 0.8 at the moment, so he's a mega differential.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I really like the fixtures on paper. So if Potter is so focused on the attack minded, I could see Gross playing off for striker or just in that number 10 position, and he could be a really good shout for early season. So putting his points into perspective, he scored 164 in that season before last. I think it was Milivojevic who scored 166 last season, so he's priced at 7 million. So you can see that he's got sort of kind of come in, that sort of area. If he could do that, repeat that sort of season this season, then he'd be a great buy at 6.5.
Yeah, but it seems like there's probably better options though.
Yeah.
But if you want that major differential, then try it.
It seems like the 6 million midfielder price bracket. I don't know if you found this from just doing the teams. It just seems like it's a wasteland.
Yeah,
there isn't really much.
No, there's basically nothing.
And the same with the strikers, really, as well. Nothing from 6 down is really maybe worth considering. But anyway, Calvert-Lewin, maybe a little bit.
That's why the trend on Twitter and everything at the moment seems to be premium at the back, because they're going to score more than these 6 million, 6.5 players. No,
I can understand it. All right, should we start talking about Burnley? Because they've got 2 of last season's top 6, which is a bit of a red flag for me.
Wolves as well, which won't be easy. I've got nothing down here for them, to be honest. I've got Pope in my team at the moment. It's just an early reveal there, but mainly for save points and the hope of a clean sheet. That the Southampton at home looks like it could be a clean sheet, but other than that, I won't be expecting much other than save points. But they can be resolute. Hopefully they're back to what they were the year before that. Was it year before last? Sorry. And other than that, I'm not really looking at anyone else. Taylor, decent, possibly 4.5 defense instead of Pope. But at this point in time, it's just Pope for me.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Just not really been interested in Burnley. So in the respective fixtures again last season, they didn't actually win any of them. They drew at home to Saints and they lost away against Wolves, and they didn't keep a single clean sheet. The only sort of vague shining light is Ashley Barnes. He scored 2 in these in these same fixtures from last season, and I think he's gone a little bit under the radar as a 6.5 striker. But I would probably think it's to do with how difficult these fixtures are on paper.
I think he's good. Like, him and Wood are both good players, and they can score against most people. But it's just those fixtures are really tough, and there's just better options out there. Really, I think they're worth looking at after game week 4, because they've got a run of 4 really nice fixtures of Brighton away, Norwich at home, Villa away, and then Everton at home. So they're good. 4 good fixtures for Burnley that they can, or us as Premier League managers or fantasy managers can look at Barnes and Wood then possibly.
Yeah, it sounds good. Don't put us down, Kieran. We're Premier League standard managers.
Yeah, sure.
No fantasy about it.
Yeah.
All right, Chelsea. With hashtag Frank Lampard out the other night after they drew his first friendly game. Did you see that?
No, it wasn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was. It was Lampard out. It was a joke, his friend, but it was funny. They've got some tricky games, I think, as well to start the season. Now, I've been bigging up Azpilicueta for quite a while on Twitter, and I seem to get a bit of a good response to it, really, because I think a lot of people are in the same boat. He's been a bit overlooked. So just to recap that, so he's scored an average of 165 points over his last 3 seasons. So that's under 2 different managers, obviously Conte and Sarri. So it just shows that he's been consistently very good and reliable in terms of fantasy assets. So he's only 6 million, so he's cheaper than Laporte by 0.5, and he's the same price as Dean. But it's the starting sort of fixtures here which I'm yeah, a bit of trepidation. So the Manchester United away game, followed by Leicester at home, a game they drew and lost. They lost at home, didn't they, last season to Leicester, and they drew with United away and didn't keep a clean sheet in either. But probably it's game week 3 and 4 where you could start seeing some potential returns for Azpilicueta with a Norwich away game and Sheffield United at home. Is there any other sort of players in the Chelsea team? We've had Pulisic announced at 7.5 since we last spoke. You see any interest in their players?
Not yet, but I think if they perform well against United, then it's then I think they will be this year's first bandwagon for sure. Whoever does well in that game, if they do well, then Giroud or Pulisic or Willian, whoever, then they could become essential. Even Batshuayi, if he's possibly first choice because he scored in their friendly, didn't he? So and I think they only face Liverpool, one top 6 team in their first 11 game weeks after game week 1. So that's huge for them. That's a massive run of fixtures. Really good. And at this point in time, nobody has them in their squads really.
No.
Obviously Leicester at home, that's obviously a difficult one in game week 2. But after that run is pretty huge. And whoever is looking good at that point, we should probably be getting on. So that's why I think that Fraser 7.5 area is quite good. Because you can go to Pulisic, you can go to Willian, you can go to Pedro if he's playing well. So
Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah, if he's back and looking good, then absolutely.
I saw him back running on Instagram, I think it was. He was doing some training, so it looks like he's definitely stepping up his return. So if he could get himself in line for a return around game week 3, it'd be perfect.
It would, 100%.
I was also going to mention about Azpilicueta. Another good reason for him is because, like we say, everyone in Chelsea being overlooked, but him most especially, he's still owned by less than 10%. So he's a great differential. If they can get something out of the Manchester United or the Leicester game, you'd think that's 3 out of 4 really good-looking games there.
Yeah, and like you said, 165 points like average per season at 0.5, cheaper than Gross in his best season was getting 160 odd. He's there's value in defence.
We need more slots for defenders, don't we?
we need 6 at the back.
We do need 6 at the back. Got some interesting stats about the defensive options and how well they started the season, or started last season as well a bit later, so we'll get onto that. Before that, though, let's talk about... Oh, actually, just to finally mention on Chelsea, in between game week 1 and 2, we were discussing this the other day, they have the Super Cup game against Liverpool, which I think is also worth mentioning. So I think it's taking place in Turkey, so it's a fair old flight there and back. So how that affects their preparation for the Leicester home game will be remains to be seen. Yeah,
they might rotate a little bit, mightn't they? Leicester could be in for a win there.
Yeah, well, Brendan seems to be putting together a nice squad, so...
He does.
Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, Crystal Palace. So, bit of a mixed bag. They recorded clean sheets against both Everton and United last season in their respective fixtures here, so 2 potential clean sheets, and they also play Villa at home. I think Palace are looking quite good here. How do you think about their opening fixtures?
Yeah, I wasn't really looking at them at all, but looking at those fixtures, I've been more interested in their back line for sure. Guaita at 5-0 might be a decent set and forget, to be honest. But without Wan-Bissaka, who was so good at defence, he was pivotal to them. If Ward can't fill those boots, then they might not be as good. And obviously, we know Sacco, Tompkins like to get injured a lot. So can Kelly and Dan, Dan's pretty good still. Can Kelly come in and fill those boots as well? Like, it's difficult to choose them. I think they're I don't know. They're on the line of being I definitely want to pick them, and they're on the line of like I'm just completely want to avoid them. What do you think about the defence?
Yeah, I quite like the set and forget idea of Guaita. It's such a shame he's coming at 5. I think it's 149 points he would have ended on if he'd got Hennessy's points as well last season. And so he comes in at 5. PVA by comparison scored 140 last season, so he would have outscored PVA. I think he's a good value option in defence. I just think that 5 million price for a goalkeeper is a bit of a tricky one. Because it seems like a big jump to go elsewhere. It just feels a bit too middling for me. I don't think I've ever owned a 5 million goalkeeper. I was like, either just totally budget it or just go crazy and go heavy. See, Zaha's another interesting one. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about whether he's going to move club. Arsenal obviously had that awful bid for him, rejected. He's at the African Cup of Nations at the moment. What I would say about him in a positive frame of mind, though, is last season I think he had the most involvement, so that's goals, assists and clean sheets after Robertson. I think Robertson had 30 odd, maybe 33, and Zaha had 21, and he averaged over 2 shots per game. But he did overperform, so I was having a look at the XG data, expected goals for last season. He was only expected to score 6 goals, so i.e. managed to finish chances much more than he was expected to, and he ended up scoring 10. So he overperformed there, so it'll be interesting to see if he regresses slightly, but he's obviously moved to midfield now, so every goal is worth one more.
Yeah, and those fixtures look like he could get goals.
They do,
He was terrorising at the end of last season, and Millie is always there for penalties, and he's always there to win penalties, isn't he? Someone I've got my eye on after Palace's first preseason game was Maya, or Maya.
Oh yeah,
5.5 million. He got a really nice assist for their first goal in that game, or their one goal. And he looked quite lively, and the rumours are that he should be first choice this year to possibly take over MacArthur's place. And he's come out and said in interviews that he's going to be looking to score way more goals this year. He's going to be allowed to get forward a lot. So 5.5 with those opening fixtures that are quite good. Yeah, he could be a sneaky little pick there.
Could be good.
Yeah, I keep an eye on him during the rest of the preseason, but he looks decent. I think less enthused that Benteke is fit again, and he's probably going to be their main striker. I don't really like that. Don't rate Benteke at all. So I hope he doesn't get fit. I hope he gets injured again.
Kieran, you can't say that.
No, not in a bad way. Just that he can't play football. Not to break his leg or anything. But.
Okay, keep digging. They've got Wickham at 4-5. He looks like he's going to be a useful bench ball striker if you're going for a 4-4-2 or a 4-5-1 this season, because he started up front with Benteke, and it looks like Roy might be leading to play a 4-4-2 this season.
They're also about to buy Jordan Ayew as well, so he's going to be another option. Which I think Jordan Ayew is terrible, but
it's another squad option, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has Ayew been priced?
No, I don't think they've bought him yet. So
okay.
Yeah, he's not in the game yet.
All right. Well, yeah, I think it's one to watch for Palace, but Zaha potential, but that late comeback from the African Cup of Nations is worrying me a little.
Well, he could have got to the final, so he got knocked out, didn't he? So he's going to be back sooner rather than later, and I think that's probably
still a month,
good news for that. He might get that move to Arsenal.
Yeah, well, we've already talked about Arsenal, but if Zaha moved to Arsenal, would he be more of an auto include with those away games against Newcastle and Burnley, or are you shaking your head there?
It's tough to say. I'm not sure, honestly.
Right.
Can't decide on that one, afraid.
Okay, let's move on to Everton, because they have got some wonderful fixtures, haven't they? They're really good. So they're the only team to avoid any of the big six in the opening 6 games. And added caveat to that as well, Everton added additional extra to that, unbeaten against any of the big 6 in their last 5 home and away games against them. So Everton are looking really good. Who is catching your eye?
Obviously there's Digne, isn't he? I think it's going to be hard not to pick him. But I think the end of the season, him and Coleman were quite close. Or I think Coleman outscored him at the end of the season. But Digne's on set pieces as well, corners, some free kicks, and apparently he might be second in line to take penalties behind Sigurdsson. I think Sigurdsson took 5 penalties last year and missed 3 of them. So yeah, there's a chance if he misses another one, Digne might be next in line, which would be fantastic. And then there's obviously Sigurdsson and Richarlison, who are both 8-0. Richarlison starts the season well, doesn't he? He always has done.
Season,
then he falls off. But he could be great to be a differential compared to Sigurdsson for the start of the season, because he's on about 10% at the moment. Sigurdsson is 16% owned. So, that price point, it's kind of awkward. They're the only decent 8 millions, I think.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but between them, shots per game. So this was from game week 33 to 38 at the end of the season when they're both playing. And per 90 minutes, so shots for Richie was 4.3 compared to 2.6 for Sigurdsson. Big chances was 0.5 for Richie, 0.2 for Siggy. XG compared was 0.3 for Richarlison, so he's expected to score more. But yeah, key passes 1.5 for Richarlison compared to 2.8 to Sigurdsson. So Sigurdsson's getting those key passes through.
Yeah.
And then points per match was 4.3 for Richie and 5.2 to Siggy. So that's probably due to assists and penalties, bonus points and stuff like that. So Sigurdsson comes out slightly better, but Richie was looking decent-ish for goals at the end of the season, and he's had a decent-ish tournament with Brazil. So you'd hope he pushes on, and he could be a differential compared to Siggy. But penalties probably swings it in Sigurdsson's favour.
Yeah, I think it is the penalties, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really
and free kicks as well, of course.
Can you imagine the #FPL meltdown if Everton get a penalty in game week 1 and Siggy and Digne arguing for the ball between them? Everyone's going to be going crazy. God,
well, most people are going to own both, aren't they? So
they will. Are you tempted to own 3?
You know what? I've got it written down here. I was like, do you maybe have Digne, Richie, and Sigurdsson? Maybe. Obviously there's DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 6.0, but we don't know if he's definitely nailed on.
No.
You could put Richarlison back at the top, which I hope he doesn't because he wasn't very good there. But Richarlison and Sigurdsson, I don't think it's the worst shout.
It's a shame they're both. Well, I can see why they're both priced at 8,
Yeah.
but I think it's probably too much. 16 million on the Everton sort of attacking line. Although the fixtures are fantastic, it's probably a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I think if Richarlison was 7.5, I'd be getting him.
Yeah. All right. I think that's Everton pretty much well and truly covered. Should we move on to Leicester?
Yep. Big hype around them.
Lots to say. Yeah, they've just signed Tielemans. They've obviously signed just signed in the last 2 weeks. They've signed Tielemans and Perez. Looks like Maguire won't be leaving because they've slapped a big hefty price on him, and I think they're going to keep the squad together. There's a lot of fantasy options here, isn't there?
There is, yeah. There's the take your pick, really. Tielemans, Perez, Maddison, Barnes, Gray, Vardy. Obviously, Gray's probably bench fodder now. Barnes likely won't get in the squad. But I think Vardy's probably the best pick. You take the middleman out of the choosing between Tielemans, Perez and Maddison. I think Chilwell's worth looking at 5.5.
Yeah.
Pereira probably still too expensive at 6 million. But their whole team is looking like it's shaping for a top 6 run possibly.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting because I looked back against these fixtures they played last season. So, excluding the Sheffield United game, obviously because they're newly promoted, all of the typical Leicester fantasy assets returned. So Chilwell got an assist, Pereira got an assist, Tielemans got an assist, Maddison a goal and assist, and Vardy got 2 goals. And Vardy actually in the first 6 games of last season scored 4 goals and 1 assist. So it's almost going to be like, who do I get? I think it's the same with Bournemouth. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed for getting the wrong option here at the start of the season.
That's what I mean. It's like you're trying to pick. You want 2 from each team really, but you just don't have enough spots.
No.
And it's just impossible.
It's really difficult. So, I mean, we'll come to who I've picked a Leicester midfielder, this one, but I don't think it's going to be the popular choice. So, at the moment, in terms of ownership, I was quite surprised to see that Maddison was leading the way. So, Maddison's owned by 17%. Next up is Perez on 11.7, Vardy's on 11.2, and Tielemans is at this stage still a differential. He's owned by less than 4%. So
yeah, I think that'll go up, won't it?
Yeah, I think it will. But no, very, very interesting. I also think it's also good to compare Vardy and Lacazette. So we mentioned about how much better Aubameyang was than Lacazette earlier. Obviously, Lacazette and Vardy are very similarly priced and both have some sort of favourable fixtures. But in terms of how Vardy and Laka compare, it's interesting to note that Vardy has much less shots per game than Lacazette, but his expected goals are a lot higher. So the chances Vardy does take, he's usually hitting the back of the net. He's very clinical. We've seen that over the last few seasons. He doesn't have much assist potential. That's way, way down, but his goal ratio is very good.
Is there any chance he gets rotated in some games? He isn't getting much younger, is he?
I suppose he's retired now. I imagine Brendan's going to leave him out of league and FA Cup games, but I mean he's only got the the Premier League to focus on at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Just wondering, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So loads of options basically for Leicester. What should we say about the fixtures? Because I don't even think that Leicester away game is that particularly difficult. They played so well away against Man City the back end of last season.
Yeah, I think they look okay, to be honest. Wolves at home is difficult. Chelsea away, yeah, they could do well. And then Southampton away is obviously great. Bournemouth at home is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're difficult, but they're not anything you should avoid, I think.
No.
So yeah, get one of their attackers at least.
Right then, Liverpool, another team with lots of options we should be considering. I wanted to start by saying that despite the sort of the clamour to get Liverpool defenders in, either 1, 2 or 3, interestingly, in these fixtures last season, they didn't keep a single clean sheet.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting. But they did score 10 times. Sorry, what am I talking about? Norwich up first. Sorry, in the games against Southampton, Arsenal and Burnley, they didn't keep a clean sheet. But they did score 10 times.
See, I've got down here they're probably going to get 4 out of 4 clean sheets.
Have you?
Yeah, I think they probably will. I don't think Arsenal's a game to fear at all. And Southampton, nah. Norwich, nah. And Burnley, probably not either. So.
I thought that when I looked at it initially, and then when I was looking back just to see who scored and who did well at the back end of last season, I was surprised to see each time their solid defence was breached. It was only the odd goal in each game. So Burnley, I think it was Barnes. Arsenal, it was maybe Iwobi or Maitland-Niles, and Southampton was Højbjerg, I think it was. Anyway, I've got all those 3 wrong, but they might be really great guesses, Kieran.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I had to look back at who scored. So Salah got 2 assists and 2 goals across those 3 games. Mane got a goal, and both Trent and VVD got an assist. Nothing for Robertson, who is the most popular pick at the moment.
I think even if they don't get clean sheets, you're probably looking at assists and stuff from the fullbacks anyway, and VVD is always a consistent goal threat. So, yeah, I think you're not going to not pick 2 of them at least.
No way, no. All right, well that's pretty cut and dried on Liverpool.
Yep.
Shall we move on and talk about someone else who's pretty cut and dried? Man City.
Yes. Sterling. I think Sterling versus Aguero is the big talking point, I suppose.
The big talking point.
I mean, in terms of fixtures, West Ham away is not that easy, but I think they'll probably score a lot. They might not keep a clean sheet. Tottenham at home, tough to say. Kept a clean sheet in the Champions League finals. They could probably do it again.
They did.
Bournemouth away. No, not Champions League final. What am I talking about? It's Liverpool.
League.
League. Okay.
League game. It was after the Champions League, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Bournemouth away. I don't know why that's got a grey on the fixture difficulty rating for Man City. Like, what the hell? Whereas other teams like Palace have Everton at home, and that's a green. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then Brighton at home. So, yeah, the fixtures going by FPL are bad, but we all know that City are just probably going to trounce all these games. Yeah. I think Sterling's the main man to get. Aguero versus Sterling, I've got some stats. So, like earlier, the per 90 minutes from game week 33 to 38 when they're both playing. So, shots for Aguero versus Sterling. So, shots 3.9 for Aguero and 2.5 for Sterling. Big chances 0.2 for Aguero versus 0.8 for Sterling. So, that's a decent swing for Sterling.
Yeah.
XG is 0.2 for Aguero, 0.4 for Sterling. So, it's more for Sterling, which is, for a midfielder compared to a striker is interesting. And then, assists 0.2 for Aguero, 0.3 for Sterling, and points per match 4.4 for Aguero and 5 for Sterling. So Sterling clearly coming out ahead, and he's got the advantage of being a midfielder and getting extra points. So, I think between those two, it's quite clear the choice that you should be going for. And he's quite low owned still. It's only like 24% for Sterling at the moment. And I think you need to get on him if you don't have him.
I think again, similarly, he's being a little bit overlooked. Like it
was last year. Yeah.
He was last year. Yeah, I think it's just his finishing sometimes puts people off, but like you said, I think his stats and plus his minutes he usually gets over Aguero just make him a bit of a better pick. The extra point for the clean sheet, the extra point for the goal.
Yeah.
And also I think these matches are generally excellent for Man City. So they scored 8 goals and kept clean sheet in each of these 4 respective games last season. And Man City's fixtures have been really kind to them. So that meeting with Spurs in game week 2 is their only meeting with a Big Six club. until game week 12 when they go to Anfield. So I think it's really time to maybe double or even triple on Man City. I think that the issue, or maybe the reason people aren't sort of doubling up on their defence, is just because there's a bit of uncertainty really about who's going to play where. We've got 3 left-back options potentially, haven't we?
Yep, I think Zinchenko will probably be first choice, at least to start with, but we've got a Community Shield to tell us, I think. So, my gut is Zinchenko is going to be the starting for at least the first few weeks. So I probably will have him on my team if he plays the Community Shield.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's so hard to get triple City as well. If you want triple Liverpool, Salah obviously.
Yeah.
Like fitting in triple City in your team just seems to be so difficult to have a balanced squad. I've only got one in my current draft, and that's Sterling, and just elsewhere it's just been so hard. But I probably need to prioritise a little bit more and get more City in.
I've got 2 at the moment, and defence has to be covered for me with those fixtures and how well they did last season. Remember, at the start of last season, you had Ederson, didn't you? And it was almost just like a set and forget and just rack up those points inside the first 10, 11 game weeks. So I think we'll get onto it a bit later, but one of my key aims for the start of the season, because I will likely, I did last season, wildcard between 4 and 5, and I want to take advantage of clean sheets at the start of the season in a big way, and see where we go from there. Right, talking of seeing where we go from there, we're going from one side of Manchester to the other side as we talk about United, who are currently down under. Wan-Bissaka. Do you know any percent of people own him?
I don't.
It's a lot. It's over a third of the games. He's owned by 32% of people. More
Seriously?
people own Wan-Bissaka than they own Sterling. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just loyal fans that don't really think with FPL mind, unfortunately.
I hope so. There was only 7 clean sheets for United last season.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely improve defensively, but not enough to warrant him from the start against Chelsea, Wolves, Palace. So I think you need to wait for United. I've got basically nothing written down here because I think it's a void completely for the time being.
So some crazy stats. United didn't win any of these corresponding fixtures last season. They only had 1 clean sheet, which is that home match against Palace. Obviously lost away against Wolves and drew with Southampton and Chelsea. So it was really poor. The 4 goals they scored were shared between Rashford, who's got 2, Lukaku and Shaw. But it's just Rashford at 8.5 is just too much, isn't it?
Yeah, he's owned by 16.5%, which again I feel is loyal Man United supporters for no reason. He'll that's not even really differential area either, to be honest, because he's not going to get enough points. He's never scored over 10 in a season. So unless he becomes the main man, like proper main man, and gets 20 plus, then obviously we'll be looking at him. But it's just no.
It's not good. Pogba's sitting in less than 7% of teams. I guess that's because of how much conjecture there is about whether he's going to stay. A stat on how much Sigurdsson is a better pick than him is that Siggy matched Pogba for expected goals per 90 minutes last season and almost doubles him for expected assists. So that was over all minutes played last season. So although Pogba was one of United's best players in terms of goals and assists last season, Sigurdsson I think he's 0.5 or maybe even $1 million cheaper than him. It's just looking like a better option with those fixtures.
Agree.
I would the only positive, or perhaps the only United player I'm going to include in my team is Greenwood. He's 4.5 million. He's on tour with them. Ollie's come out and said he's looking really sharp in training, and he was really pleased with how he played on the last day against Cardiff last season, a game which United lost 2-0 at home to Cardiff. So, but anyway, I'd be pleased to see another young player given a chance, and if that means we're getting Greenwood off the bench for the odd point, I think that's not a bad investment at 4.5.
Yeah, I agree. He's in my squad too.
Newcastle, I've got written down in big capital letters, avoid. Have you got anything to change my mind on that?
I've got Benitez to Steve Bruce and FUCK written.
Big panic.
Christ. Just stay away, I think. Arsenal could trounce them in the first game.
Yeah.
And then, it's just such a massive downgrade in terms of quality of manager, and they're losing their best players. Like Rondon's gone, Perez is gone. They've not bought anyone. All the fans hate the the fixture or the signing of Steve Bruce, all the fans are obviously going to be mad and not happy at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It stinks of relegation, I'm afraid.
I wonder if that Arsenal game, a lot of fans will boycott it and not turn up, and it'll be a bit of a funny atmosphere, and Arsenal could run a bit of a riot.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I think the only possible is Hayden at 4.5. That's possibly it.
The fixtures really suck as well. So I mean, you see on the screen there, they've got Arsenal at home and Tottenham away. Both games they lost last season. And they also, between game week 1 and game week 14, they play all 6 of the top 6 from last season. So big no.
Newcastle always get a harsh run of fixtures at the start.
They?
I don't know why. They just always get the bad stick.
It's unlucky. Yeah. I also think that Norwich game is going to be difficult for them. Norwich are going to be coming off a tough game away at Liverpool. They battered teams at home last season, just went out all-out attack. I think if Norwich can get an early goal in that one against Newcastle, I think there's going to be a lot of unhappy Newcastle fans by game week 3, 4.
Yeah, speaking of Norwich.
Yeah, let's talk about them. So they got that tough start away at Liverpool, who averaged, Kieran, 2.8 goals at home last season. That's pretty crazy. Norwich's defence was pretty dodgy as well, so they conceded more than, I think it was like 1.25 goals per game, and just kept 13 clean sheets in the Championship last season because they just like attacking. Mm-hmm. Is Pookie for you?
Pookie, not for me.
Okay.
No, watch and wait. I think if he starts doing well, then yeah, may jump on. But I think out of their first 4 fixtures, they got to look at that Newcastle game to get a win.
Yeah.
And other than that, I expected like maybe a draw managed against West Ham, but I think the rest are defeats. And yeah, Pookie's just wait for me. That Vranic guy, like he's 6.5. I think it's super expensive for him. Yeah. But he's quite good. He's quite skillful and things. So he's possibly one to look at as well as a alternative come down the line differential.
If you're really mad for colour balance in your team and you just need some yellow in there, then Pookie, the Pookie is probably the best option because he mashed him in the Championship last season, 29 goals, 10 assists in 43 games. But I've also got written down, disclaimer, don't trust promoted sides because we had that trouble, didn't we, last season, you and I?
I've got Aaron's in mind as well, the 4.5 fullback.
Yep.
He was Man United looking at buying him instead of Wan-Bissaka at one point, so he's obviously got something about him. I think he got a few assists and goals last season, quite very attacking. I haven't looked at the actual stats for him, sorry. But yeah, he's. I might put him in as just a 4.5 on my bench for the first game, and then look at that Newcastle game and start him, and he might get something. Tempting.
I've just remembered actually that Sean Longstaff, the £50 million player, plays for Newcastle. So maybe it won't be so easy for Norwich at home in that second game.
Well, if he's off to United, then they'll lose another player.
Yeah. Wow, for anyone just watching on YouTube just then, Kieran and I just itched our heads at exactly the same moment. That was very weird. Check that out if you're listening on Spotify. Anyway, okay. Or SoundCloud or Apple, because we're everywhere. Promo.
Yeah.
Right, Sheffield United. Who have they got? They've got some light grey fixtures, Kieran. We're all about the light greys. But I've got written down mixed bag because it's that home game against Bournemouth is going to be tough, isn't it? Bournemouth like coming out, they like scoring, they play well at home, they beat big sides, they can beat the sort of the lesser sides as well, let's say, no disrespect to Sheffield United, but they've just come up. What can you see in the opening 4 fixtures for them?
Well, I have one word written down, that's to avoid, I'm sorry.
Avoid again?
I've not put any time into thinking about Sheffield United. Just complete avoid. Those fixtures are horrible, and I can only see defeats. Crystal Palace at home, I think Palace were better away.
They were,
at home, better away last season. Yeah, Zaha on the break, counter to Benteke, I guess. And then Leicester at home. Leicester look like they're going to be beating everyone, or most teams. And then Chelsea away is obviously super difficult. So Bournemouth away is possibly the only one they can try and get something. But don't see it, unfortunately. Obviously, they were quite good in defence last season. I think you're probably about to say, but not for me. Sorry.
Joint best defence in the league last season. So in 2019, so this calendar year, only 1 loss on the road and only 1 loss at home. So they were pretty damn solid. They didn't like to drop points. Probably why they got promoted. I've seen a lot of talk about McGoldrick up front because he actually plays and he's 5'5", but please, no one don't touch him. He's 31 years old. He scored 15 and 45 last season. That's not a good return for a Championship player, so that's a step up I think is a long way. The only maybe there could be a 4.5 goalkeeper. So they had Henderson, a Manchester United goalkeeper on loan last season, and obviously they're quite resolute, as you saw with their home stats. They only lost one this year, so if they get a 4.5 goalkeeper, he could be one to look at. But until he either gets loaned back again or added to the game in any capacity, there's nothing doing at Sheffield United for me in the first four, I'm afraid.
Yep.
Similar sort of story for Saints, really. Like after Hasenhüttl took over, I thought they were quite like an exciting pick towards the end of the season, but I've not really seen any of their players in drafts. Have you seen anyone floating about?
Not really, to be honest. I think those first four fixtures are bad, to be honest. Burnley away and Brighton away on paper is green, but there's two away fixtures that you're going to actually like. You're going to look at the home sides to probably be favourites there.
Yeah.
And then, Liverpool at home and Man United at home. They're both tough fixtures, aren't they? They'll obviously probably get spanked by Liverpool. United will probably sneak a win. For me, avoid. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not so keen on them. They obviously signed this Che Adams from Birmingham in the Championship. He's owned by less than 2% at the moment. But again, he's 22 goals and 46 last season. He looks promising. He looks like he's up and coming. He looks like he'll start as well. I mean, they've got quite a few striking options now, haven't they, with Ings and Austin and Adams. So Long, gosh, yeah, Long down at 5 million. So they've got like a decent batch of players there. I think Adams will likely start, but
that's the problem though. He'll probably come off. He probably gets 60 odd minutes every game, and he'll bring on Long for the last 30. It's just like you can't have that for 6 million. Like you need them to play, and you need them to at least get an odd goal. But I just can't see that from any of them.
Yeah, I don't think their defensive prospects look very good at all. So in these respective fixtures last season, they kept one clean sheet in that vital away game against Brighton. It was Redmond who did well for them on the attacking side, so he got a goal and assist across these four. He's really a big differential. He's owned by 3%, 6.5, but it's just the fixtures are putting me off at the moment. And when you've got a player like Brooks, who was outperforming him in expected goals per 90 minutes last season, as well as expected assists, who's got a much better run of fixtures at that price point, I think he's going to be bypassed by a lot of players.
Yep.
Tottenham. Should we talk about Tottenham?
Yeah, probably the one player in the game I'm really fearing not owning at the moment. Kane, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his after that injury, I can't remember exactly when it was, but he injured his ankle, didn't he? And he's not really looked the same since. He had a poor. Did he play the Champions League final? I can't remember. He did. Yeah, he looked poor in that. And then Nations League, he looks poor in that as well. Did nothing for England, at all. He's had a summer off now, I suppose. Hopefully, he's back to full fitness. But there's the August curse where he did break it last year, but he only scored one. That opening game looks really good, but not sure, to be honest. I mean, after that, their fixtures look good as well. After City, they look good. Newcastle at home is pretty good for them. Arsenal away, I wouldn't be too worried. Arsenal don't look good. They
did lose the North London derby at the Emirates last season.
They did, but they could probably get some goals. And then Crystal Palace at home, Leicester away, Southampton home, Brighton away. Those are okay fixtures for Spurs. So I'm possibly looking at getting one of their attackers, but not Kane.
Okay.
I did like a little stats thing here of Kane versus Son and Mora in sort of points per match for the last I think it's 33 to 38 again.
Yeah.
So the points per match for Kane, Son and Mora was Kane 55.9, Son was 7, and Mora was at 5.5. So Mora is like 3.5 million cheaper than Kane, and he's basically matching his points per match. And Moore is probably going to start because Son's banned for the first 2 games of the season. Yeah. So, that much cheaper and looks probably better than Kane, especially in those games in the Champions League when Kane wasn't there. I think Moore is a good pick for the start of the season.
I like it as well. And they have got some good fixtures after the first 4. which actually coincidentally they only won one of last season respective fixtures. I think that was the home game against Newcastle. Obviously they've not played Villa, but those three other ones only won one. They've actually got some good home games. So after the Newcastle game, the next home game is Palace, then it's Southampton, then it's Watford, then it's Sheffield United. So they've got some really good home fixtures all the way up. I think it's about till game week, well maybe Christmas. I think it is around game week 16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the defence is one to take an interest in. So Lloris looks good value at 5.5, as does Trippier if he stays. So points per 90 minutes last season, Lloris was 4.4, Trips was 4.7. I think it was interesting to note that Vertonghen always sort of gets mentioned as for his nailed-onness and when it comes to the Spurs defence, but he actually had the joint worst points per game last season with 3.2. It was only he and Ben Davis were bottom of the list for all the Spurs sort of defenders and goalkeeper, and he's actually the third worst for baseline bonus. So Vertonghen normally sort of discusses, oh yeah, let's have a safe route into the Tottenham backline and pick Vertonghen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was no good last season, so I think your money is better invested elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I've certainly looked at their defence in my drafts, and may still go back.
Yeah, I just like the home games. I like the home games with output. So Trippier actually outscored Kane over their first four last season. So Trippier ended up with 23 points to Kane's 20. So when you consider last season he was half the price, and I think this season he's half the price again at 5.5 to 11. So it's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I think Ndombele should make their defence stronger as well. So yeah, I think that even Ali Eriksson are being probably overlooked at this point. They're very low owned, and they should be getting further forward with the sign of Ndombele. So
yeah. No, I like him. He looks like he's a really good transitional player, doesn't he? Picking the ball up, beating a few guys. I think they've missed a player like him since Dembele's left.
Absolutely. They've got an N instead.
They have indeed.
Ndombele.
They've updated. All right, West Ham. The West Hamers. Now, I bet you've probably been thinking all episode, I can't wait to talk to Chris about that.
You've missed Watford.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, I have missed Watford.
Poor Watford.
Do you want to tell me about Watford?
There's I don't know. Their fixtures look okay, don't they? Mm-hmm. I think you're probably going to want maybe one attacker, maybe one defender, rotating at the back. Brighton at home looks like a good fixture to start with. Mm-hmm. Everton away. Yeah, I'm not sure why this one's red for Watford compared to Palace away. It's just like, what? But yeah, obviously that's a tough fixture. West Ham at home, good decent.
Fixture. Yeah.
And Newcastle away, obviously good decent. So yeah, Jerry D versus Deeney. Some stats here for 33 to 38 again per 90 minutes. Points per match was 4.1 for Deeney, 5.8 for Jerry D. Goal rate was Jerry D. Goal rate 0.32 for Deeney and 0.44 for Jerry. Assist rate 0.18, 0.22 for Jerry, and goal threat 36 to 37. So Gerard Deulofeu is he's not strictly the striker, but he's outperforming Deeney on pretty much all of those stats, being further back. So and that's with 500 less minutes than Deeney as well. So I think Jerry D looks good. 6.5. Why not?
I like him a lot. I tell you what, doing this video, I hope people find it as useful as I've found it, because before this, I'd sort of been picking players, well, maybe for the long term, really, but really not having a look at these opening fixtures and thinking about playing my wild card. And now I'm really just taking this block of 4, and as soon as I've sort of put that into perspective, a lot of players have come into my thinking who were definitely nowhere near it before, and I'd say Jerry D is one of them.
He did so well for me last year at the end of the season as well. So I've got fond memories, and I might go back. Yeah,
it's just the only thing which put me off last season was like not full minutes every time.
I don't think there's anything to worry about there, personally.
Also, he liked whomping in big scores against lowly ranked teams, didn't he? He had like 20 pointers against Huddersfield, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that Brighton, Newcastle, and West Ham can sort of similarly, live up to that.
Because if Brighton are going to be more attacking, that should leave gaps at the back. So, it could be a big first game for Watford. Because remember that Watford started really well last year, didn't they? They were like top 4 by like week 4, 6 or something like that.
It was Pereira, wasn't it? He was doing really well.
Yeah, Pereira started well, and even Holebas, who I've got down here, compared to someone like Chilwell, like his stats are better than Chilwell, and Chilwell's more expensive. And Holebas started really well last season, so yeah, I'm very tempted by him. Yeah, so there's possible defenders. Kiko as well,
Yeah.
4.5, rotates well with, I think it was Brighton themselves, actually. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're worth investing, basically.
All right. Can we talk about West Ham?
Yeah, now we can.
Fantastic. West Ham. Now, I bet you've been dying to talk about Lanzini, probably since we started recording.
Not really, personally.
Not
no.
really.
No.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought that he looked quite good. So at the end of last season, and I had a look back at his stats. So he's 6'5" now. His best season in the Premier League was 16-17. So admittedly, a while ago, he's had a lot of injuries. 8 goals and 3 assists and 133 points at the end of the campaign. It wasn't especially high, but I have a good feeling about these opening fixtures. That City game is very tough, but Brighton, Watford, and Norwich, I think those are all games he can perform well in. It looks like we've had one West Ham pre-season game. Lanzini played number 10, sort of off the single striker, who in that game I think was Antonio in the first half.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I've got a good feeling about Lanzini as a 6'5" midfield option. But you're not so sure?
No, I like him.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know if he's consistent enough yet. Yeah, there's obviously Yarmolenko as well at 6-0, who could be an option. He didn't start in that first preseason game, but yeah, it's their first game. It's not one to really look into for lineups yet. You know, Antonio as a lone striker, I don't think that's going to be a thing. Yeah. Chicharito was there, didn't start, but he's meant to be the possible solo striker for the
see
year.
that working out.
You can't?
No, I think they've got to buy. They're going to have to buy someone else.
Yeah, maybe.
Can't see Chicharito doing that.
But yeah, there's obviously Anderson as well, who's good. Snodgrass, good. Noble with assists for their goal. Lovely. I think they scored 3 in the end. But yeah, he had a really nice assist, and he's probably on penalties. But I think Lanzini at some point was on penalties when he was playing. So he might possibly take them back off Noble. But yeah, Noble at 5.0 with if he's getting assists every so often and penalties, could be worth looking at too. But yeah, Lanzi, I don't think is consistent enough for me at the moment.
I quite like. I mean, I was having a look again at these fixtures from last season. They had a pretty poor record. I think they lost away against Brighton. They lost at home to Man City. I think they got drubbed 4-0. But it was that Watford game on the last game of the season. Noble actually got 2 goals in that one. Lanzini got a goal and Antonio got an assist. So the goals were shared around. I think it was Arnautovic with the other one. I think Noble is he's 5, isn't he? Is he 5 or 5'5"?
He's 5 mil, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's not a bad option. He's not very exciting.
No.
You don't really get excited to watch Noble play at 5 million, but he's a good option if your team structure's set up that way. If you're playing 5 in the middle and you're looking for a cheap fifth one. If
it allows you to possibly get like Sigurdsson to someone like De Bruyne and you just have to play like Noble, then why not?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I could agree with that. All right. Oh, they also face Aston Villa in game week 5, so I know we're only talking about game week 1 to 4, but that looks like another tasty one as well.
I think their defence are probably being overlooked as well. Like we said in that first video, that Diop got a goal in their friendly. Fredericks started; he looks decent. Balbuena didn't start weirdly, but yeah, Creswell's is 5-0, probably a bit too expensive. But yeah, that back line looks decent-ish for at least rotating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, while we were talking about Gaeta early as well, as a 5 million good goalkeeper, I think Fabianski falls into that bracket. I mean, you know what you're getting with him now. Season on season, he's put up big scores. It's a shame his price has gone up 0.1, but I think he's due another good season. Still a little bit of interest in Winston Reid, Kieran. He played.
Did he?
He partnered Diop in the second half.
Okay.
Yeah, it was him. But I mean, I don't know what that means because the second half team looked a little bit weaker generally. But yeah, cool. Diop and Reid. Could be a thing, Kieran.
Dream team.
Everyone get your fingers ready to transfer in Reid at 4.0 in West Ham defence. Exciting. All right, we've got one more team to do, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wolves! And then we're going to do our team reveal. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, Wolves.
The boys.
Jimmy, owned by 42% of the game. Incredible. All right, so they're playing Leicester in game week 1. And they got home matches against United and Chelsea, so it looks fairly difficult on paper. Which game week is Chelsea? Maybe game week 5? I don't know. It's later on. Where have I got that from?
Hold on. Yeah, it's what, 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're
game
right.
week 5. Okay, so they've also got that away game against Everton, so it's probably only that Burnley game in the first 4 that looks favourable. Are you interested in any of the Wolves players?
I think they're a wait and see just because of Europa as well,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly Diego Costa signing for them, which is interesting, obviously. So
Yeah.
who knows what that does to Jota and Jimmy's minutes.
Mm.
But yeah, I think obviously they were better. Well, maybe not 100% better, but like they did perform well against bigger teams last season, didn't they? So I don't think the United game is too much to worry about. Leicester away is obviously difficult.
Yep.
Everton away, yeah, they'll probably perform decently. So I don't think they're a team to avoid, but it's just possibly something to just bear in mind with players possibly being rotated for Europa, and we saw how much it affected Burnley last year. Do they have much of a bigger squad? Not really. They haven't really bought at all this year, which I was worried about because I thought they needed to at least buy a few more players for squad depth, and they haven't. So, I think Europa might affect them.
Yeah, and their campaign actually starts quite soon. So we're the 12th today. I think it starts in just under 2 weeks' time, 13 days. They play a Europa League qualifier game on the 25th. So they need to be making signings soon and just increasing that squad. They did actually. You know what Wolves were like last season, man. They just flipped the fixture ticket, didn't they? Like the tough games became almost the easier ones for them. Yeah. So that they actually won 3 of these 4 fixtures last season. The only one they didn't win was the away game against Leicester. And I think they had someone sent off in that game.
Can't remember, but
I think they did. But yeah, so Jimmy got 2 goals, 2 assists. Jota got a goal and Doherty got an assist, and actually Dendoncker got an assist as well. So sort of all the prime fantasy players returned for Wolves in these first 4 game weeks last season. In the respective fixtures last season.
Yep, something to mention as well is Doherty's picked up an injury in pre-season. Ooh, so they've said he's supposed to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. So he might miss the start of the season, or he'll probably miss their Europa qualifiers at least. So that might make the defence not as good. Vinagre can obviously come in at 4.5 for him. And they sold, I think they maybe loaned Costa to Leeds, and they're nearly selling Cavaliero to Fulham.
Okay.
So they're getting rid of players. There's two more that have gone, and they still haven't bought anyone, and we're already worried about squad depth. So
they've got to work quickly, haven't they, to get some people in it. It's a bit of a strange one. I hope that the Europa League doesn't ruin them as a fantasy prospect this season, because there are some good options there. Like, I know they've increased the price of their defence and their goalkeeper across the board when they don't keep a lot of clean sheets anyway, but Jota and Jimenez are good value, and I think Dendoncker is a good 4.5 million mid, but a bit worried. All right, should we do the big reveal? The big reveal of our teams. Okay, let's do this then. Let me click this button. Ta-da! It's all done. Right, so we've got our teams up on the screen. Keith, do you want to talk through for all of our audio listeners where we are with our second drafts? Well, where you are with your second draft, and I'll do mine.
Okay, so obviously loads still to happen in pre-season. Yeah, this can all still change. It's just second drafts. So I haven't tinkered as much as I actually thought I would. But yeah, so goalkeeper at the moment is Pope for the opening fixture, Southampton at home. If Heaton goes to Villa, should be nailed on to start over Hart. Lots of save points. He looks like he's going to be good. Digne, Crystal Palace away, first fixture. Yeah, Everton's fixture is great. Picks himself, I think. Holebas at the moment at Brighton at home. Yeah, I talked about how I think he should start well like he did last season. Watford's fixtures are good. Yeah, gets assists, takes set pieces. Yeah, pretty much a Digne cheaper option basically. And then I've got TAA, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Robertson at the moment. I might cash in on Robertson because his stats compared to Trent and VVD are slightly worse, to be honest. So 0.5 for Robertson to VVD might happen at some point. And then I've got Lucas Moura, Aston Villa at home. Yep. Obviously, they've got good fixtures. So just to start the season, instead of Kane, cover, possibly. I don't like the word cover, but I think he'll do well, at least for the first two games. Maddison at the moment is my Leicester pick. I do want to get Vardy in somehow. I think Vardy is probably the best pick, but he is 2.5 more expensive of most of them. But Maddison, set pieces, free kicks, corners, lots of chances created. If Vardy and whoever else can finish them, then he'll be well in for points. Compared to Perez and Tielemans, I'm not sure. I like them both, but Maddison's in there at the moment. So I could get extra 0.5 from Robertson, and he could go to Sigurdsson, someone like that. But Sterling is in there, just nailed on. He's not going anywhere. Easy rotation captain with Salah in the first 12 weeks or something. And then Salah, obvious pick, no brainer really. Way better stats compared to Mane. So Salah's in there, 100%, and pretty much nailed on for captain on Friday night. And I've got King and Wilson at the moment as
Double
my
Bournemouth.
Strikers. Because like I said before, I'm not sure which ones to pick. I would like Wilson and Fraser. I possibly like King and Fraser, but it's just picking them. I don't want to miss out on them. Those two first opening really good fixtures. So at the moment, I've gone for both. But King may easily go to Deulofeu. Wilson may go to Vardy if I can try and get the money. So lots to change, I think, still. But I'm pretty happy with how it is at the moment. So
No, it's really interesting to sort of have it all covered like that. And I mean, have you found it useful having a look at the fixtures in more detail and changing your squad about
100%.
because of it?
I think just from you having Deulofeu and yours, and I think I probably will get him back because fond memories, as I said, and I think he could do well in that first fixture. So
Do you want to just name drop all your bench so people can work out how you've afforded all that?
Sure. There's Woodman, who's 4.0, non-starting keeper. Dendoncker, obviously nailed on, 4.5 player, who should play most of the minutes, and he seems the most reliable, 4.5. Greenwood, like we said earlier, should get some minutes under Ollie. And then Gibson, 4.0, probably won't play. Hopefully he gets a move to someone like Sheffield United or something, and then he'll hopefully be a starter there.
Like it. Okay. So to preface sort of my introduction a little bit and pick up on something I talked about earlier, the reason why I think you have done the similar is have gone heavy at the back for these first four is because last season from game weeks 1 to 4, 5 of the top 6 scoring players from 1 to 4 were all defenders, and we had Alonso, who had the most points after 4 game weeks. We had Mane, then it was Holebas, Mendy, Robertson and Etheridge. So it shows that the points are definitely at the back. If you can just nail those teams down, then I think you're going to get off to a good start. Now, I've tried to pick my sort of starting 11 here based on which teams, A, have the best fixtures, and 2 are the best teams, if you like, which from last season. So I've gone Ederson in goal, 0.5 saving on Laporte, and he's going to start every game. We've got Alexander-Arnold, Dean. I've got Van Dijk over Robertson. That's a 0.5 saving. Like you say, and I was having a look at the stats earlier as well to see where I could save 0.5 in that Liverpool defence. And for now, I've decided that Van Dijk's security of starts, despite there not being much risk for Robertson, was probably a safer pick, while Alexander-Arnold have a better sort of attacking output. So gone Van Dijk. I've also decided to go Trippier. So this is probably my most up in the air pick because they've got some good fixtures in between some very horrible ones. So if he can keep a home clean sheet against Villa, and if he can keep a home clean sheet against Newcastle, which you could see them both doing, that would be off to a good start. But there is a lot of competition, isn't there, for that right back spot at Tottenham.
And 5.5 is an interesting number that you can spend lots on.
Yeah, exactly. That's because after that, I'm thinking maybe Zinchenko, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So midfield, Sigurdsson, he's not going anywhere for me. I really like him this season, and he's pretty much been in every draft I've had. Now, my new addition to the squad, so rather than Zaha, who I think has got a few tricky fixtures, and he didn't hit the ground running last season, so he didn't get, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 attacking returns in his first 4. I really fancy Perez, so I was comparing the stats between him, Tielemans and Maddison, and his goal and assist output was generally higher considering he was in a worse team sort of over the length of the season. I was quite impressed by that. I think a lot will remain, or a lot needs to be said on where Rodgers is going to play him. If he plays in the second striker behind Vardy, I'm really interested. If he plays in wide right or wide left, I'd sort of be a bit less enthused.
Yeah, I think a few Fox's fans on Twitter have said he's probably going to go out wide.
Okay.
Just because he's got to fit in Tielemans and Maddison as well. It'll probably be a 3 behind Vardy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm going to keep an eye on that because I like him more than Tielemans at 6'5". I think he's more of a natural goal scorer than Tielemans is.
Yeah, he was in loads of my drafts as soon as he was bought, and I did really fancy him. But yeah, I do like him. So hopefully he does play behind Vardy. That'd be great.
Yeah. So like you, Sterling and Salah, they've been in my team since the game opened, not going anywhere. Up front, I've got Deulofeu, so he and another new addition, as well as Ederson, Trippier and Perez that have just wormed their way into my team just because of the fixtures. Jerry D, he's looking good for those. I totally, like you, I've been ignoring Watford, and it's actually taken some time to look into them. At 6'5", he seems like a sort of low risk considering those fixtures and the form at the end of last season. He's in there. And then we got King up alongside him up front. I was really set on King, and since we talked about him at the top of the show about how much better Wilson is than him, and he hasn't got much assist potential, I'm sort of wavering a little bit.
Yeah, it's just that price bracket, isn't it? It's like, who the hell would you lose in that to get Wilson? Like Trippier, I guess, good. But yeah, I definitely want to possibly get Ederson, like from your draft. I want to get a City defender in for sure. I think I might go back to the 5 at the back to start with.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure on Mora, not sure particularly on the double up at Bournemouth. Would like to get Vardy. Yeah, eyes on Leicester in pre-season really for which one's the best pick.
Also, I mean, this draft I was very nearly set on. But I have been tinkering a lot with 5 at the back. So my team at the moment, like I say, Alexander-Arnold, Dean, Van Dijk, Trippier. My bench, I should also just mention, my 5th defender is Kelly, who's 4.0. I've also got Greenwood like you, Dendoncker like you, and Woodman. I have been playing with the idea of 5-4-1 and doing that by swapping King out for another 4.5, aka Wickham at Palace, and upgrading Kelly with that saved 2 million to Azpilicueta. So I'd have cover in Chelsea, Tottenham, double Liverpool, Man City and Everton defence, which I think would be quite tasty.
Missing all Leicester attack though.
I'd still have Perez.
Okay, so sorry, you're missing all Bournemouth attack.
I'm missing all Bournemouth attack.
Two intriguingly nice fixtures at the start, but they may you don't know of Bournemouth, do you?
No,
they can beat Brighton last year like 5-0 was it, and then they lost to Cardiff the next game or something.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
There's still lots of decided, but I'm quite happy that I've taken some time to have a look at the fixtures and come to this because it's broadened my findings a little bit, and it's definitely changed my team up.
Yeah, hopefully this is helping everyone else out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got any more to add about your team or anything you want to?
It's just continue watching preseason. We'll try and do some roundups and stuff, and yeah, it's all eyes on what's happening in these games really, and then hopefully Community Shield will give us a lot of answers as well. Looking forward to it, to us.
Yeah, no, I'm as well. I can't wait for it to start. So it's a month today roughly. We're probably going to do a pre-season roundup when every team has played at least 2 or 3 games, just so we can see if there's any patterns starting to emerge, because we don't want to just do a roundup after every pre-season game and talk about how well Ryan Brewster looked against Tranmere. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to make sure that actual first team players come in and we can start to pick up some trends, because otherwise we're just going to be wasting you guys' time talking about.
Bruce is going to take Firmino's place this year.
Oh, Kieran, nah. It's not going to take anyone's place. So anyway, yeah, we don't want to waste you guys' time with needless ones, but we thought the fixtures would be a good idea to analyse that and squad prices. So we hope you found this useful.
Yeah.
I think that about wraps it up. Thank you to everyone for sticking with us all this time. We'll be back probably in about 2 weeks, maybe, just to round up the pre-season games. Yeah. If you want to chat to us, we're on Twitter at fplcougars. Like I say at the top of the show, if you haven't subscribed yet, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and SoundCloud, you can find us on all of those. Cool. So until next time, thanks for watching. It's goodbye from me.
Cheers and good luck.
Bye, guys.